collectors, and welcome to another Bosk's Bounty video, and welcome to episode 222 of Ask Boss Bounty. You know the drill by now. This is the weekly Q&A series that drops every Sunday, where I take your questions from the comment section below and do my very best to answer them. So if you do have a question for next week's episode and you want to be featured in the video, be sure to leave that question in the comment section of this video, and as I say, hopefully you'll be featured next week. Got a bunch of questions to answer this week again, but before we get on to the first question, I've just got a couple of things to talk about. First of all, my channel today apparently is 7 years old. I logged into my YouTube studio and it came up with a message saying, happy birthday, your channel is 7 years old today. It's not when I made my first video, it's just when I created the Bosk's Bounty account or channel, which was quite interesting. So I want to say a massive thank you to everybody that's been there from the very beginning. If you haven't got a question for next week's episode, then please leave in the comment section below how long you've been watching my videos for, because I'd be quite interested to know that. So yeah, the channel's 7 years old, so as I said, a massive thank you to everybody. Even if you have only been watching the channel for a few weeks, a big thank you for supporting me. The growth of the channel's been great. I'm nearly at 29,000 subscribers. Hopefully by the end of the year I'll hit maybe 30,000 subscribers, which will be absolutely awesome. Never ever thought I'd get to you know, that size of a channel, which is great. I want to thank all of my Patreon supporters and channel members for the extra support you give my channel. I love having chats with you on the Discord and things like that, so that's awesome as well. Just quickly, I want to say a big thank you to Shannon Patratz, who is a channel member. They put a super thanks on my Republic tank video, which I posted in the week, which was part of my sort of 501st army building, which is why I've got that AT-RT standing there. I made two videos, one for the Republic tank and one for the AT-RT. So thank you, Shannon, really appreciate that. Also, I just want to say that I had an absolutely amazing time at MCM Comic Con London yesterday. I was on the In Demand Toys booth or stall. Hasbro had a small presence there. I got to open some of the new figures, including Kanan and Ezra, the Mandalorian Judge, and also these two here, which I have got to do a review. I do have to send them back, mind, but I've borrowed them for a review. Those videos will be up on the channel Monday and Tuesday. If you're a Patreon supporter, then you will get those early, but I cannot wait to fully review Leia and Jedi Master Soul there from the new Acolyte. Brilliant figures, so stay tuned for those. But yeah, really great day at MCM Comic Con. Thank you to everybody that popped along and said hi. We had some great chats, and also thanks to Toys R Us and Dan Who, and also Sith Lord for being on the booth as well. It was just a really good day, and yeah, once again, thanks to Hasbro for putting it on and enabling us to check out some of the new items that are coming in TVC. So with all that being said, if you do happen to enjoy this video, hit the like button down below as always, because that helps the video and the channel. Subscribe if you are new, and let's get on to the first question. Dan Dunkel says, another great video, BB. Now that the pilot 4-pack has a couple of aliens in it, do you think they might do a 4-pack of Jedi like that? There are more than enough different alien heads that could be used. It might be just down to different types of hands. Keep up all the amazing work and take care. Cheers from Chicago. So yeah, I think something like that is entirely possible. As I mentioned, I'm going to be reviewing the Jedi Master Soul, which I believe has an all-new body. So that could be the basis for an all-new Jedi sculpt. Obviously, some aliens have a different type of body, so you can't do them all. But yeah, some of them, it would just be a head and hands. We'll have to see what this figure is like, whether that can be accommodated. But what I would like to see maybe with those 4-packs going forward is that they do have sort of some recognizable Jedis in there. Maybe some like ones from the background of Attack of the Clones. Maybe some of the ones that don't necessarily warrant a card back release for themselves, but you know, could easily be put into a 4-pack. Because the one sort of criticism that I have, apart from the fact that they don't have a female pilot's body in that 4-pack, is that they're just random aliens, aren't they? I would have preferred some sort of like background characters from A New Hope. That's just my opinion on it. I do understand what they're trying to do with that 4-pack, and you know, on the basis of it, it's pretty cool having a Duros pilot, is it not? However, you know, there are sort of like A New Hope, Battle of Yavin characters, pilots that I would have liked that maybe aren't big enough names to have their own card back. Shints Don 655 says, question for next week, do you think we'll get a new Snowtrooper in the next couple of years, or maybe a 4-pack with the old mold? I got a 2010 Legacy Collection ATAT recently and need troops for it. So I've got to say, if they were ever to do a 4-pack, they cannot use this older mould. He has the swivel hips. And I know there's some people out there that think this one is good enough. I personally don't agree with that. I think this one needs work from the ground up. As I said, he doesn't have the swivel hips. He doesn't need a removable helmet. This has always been a bit wobbly. He doesn't need a removable helmet. You never see them without the helmets on, so, you know, that for me isn't important. But first and foremost, we need this guy on a card back. They need to do that classic Kenner card back, and then they can make a 4-pack after that. And then if you read bantherskull.com, my buddy Chris did a really good article on how they could reuse the Snowtrooper going forward, including the blue Uze Turkish bootleg version, which would be a pretty cool sort of callback to the vintage era. So there's plenty of things that they could do with it. They could do a deluxe one with the E-Web cannon. You see them using those in The Empire Strikes Back. So first and foremost, they need to update the figure. Brand new, in my opinion. They can't just do a Scout Trooper job on it where they just give it a new helmet or whatever like that. It's got to be all new for me. And then they give us the 4-pack. They give us the Deluxe with the E-Web and then other versions. But yeah, check out Banther Skull. He did a great article on the Snowtrooper. Nick Solo 85 says, hey Boss Bounty, awesome video as always. I hope all is well. Question for next week. Do you ever go to toy shows, flea markets or conventions and purchase any loose figures? If so, do you have a favourite loose figure find? I don't particularly have any sort of favourites. I picked up some droids last time I was at Sandown. So I go to Sandown Toy Fair. I more go there really to meet up with friends, you know, friends of the channel, rather than actually sort of looking for anything. There isn't really often things there for me, to be honest. I try to find things in package so I can open them up on videos, but on that occasion I did find some loose Imperial droids. I've featured them on the channel before. Apologies, I don't have them to hand right now. But yeah, I go to Sandown, I go to Echo Live. I don't really go to flea markets, car boot sales, that kind of thing. You know, I'm not really into that. William Rodriguez says, hi BB, new TVC collector and I've seen your reviews before buying almost every figure I have. Question for next week, as a new collector I'm starting to notice the lack of figures TVC gets compared to the Black Series and Retro. Why? How are they more profitable and why wouldn't Hasbro focus on TVC where world building is more feasible? Thanks, love the show. Well, this is the $1 million question that all TVC collectors ask themselves on a pretty regular basis. Whenever there is reveals for the Black Series, we always get a little bit jealous. But ultimately, as you said, you know, it's the world building line, so we are getting an E-Wing, we are getting a Blurg. Those things aren't going into the Black Series, so those things cost money to produce. So ultimately the Black Series is a figure line, so they're going to get more figures. Also, I don't think there's too much difference in the cost of the production of a TVC figure versus a Black Series figure, and the Black Series figures sell for £5, £6, £7, £8 more. So they make more money from the Black Series. It is pretty simple economics, really. However, I think there's room for all lines. The Retro Collection is very cheap for them to make, not too many paint applications, you know, 5 POA, and that's why they're a little bit cheaper as well. But, you know, I think this year particularly has been a bit of a dud year for TVC, or it seems like that, but there is still lots to come. As I've mentioned, we've got the Blurg, we've got the E-Wing, there's more figures to come, and we've just got to sort of hold out, because I've got a feeling 2025 is going to be a lot better for TVC, and even going forward after that as well. But for sure, 2004 on the face of it seems a bit of a lackluster year, no doubt. Pesto Pizza 2001 says, hey BB, 2 questions for this Sunday. What is your 4th favourite Star Wars movie, and what is the TVC figure you wish Hasbro would make from that movie, no matter how long the character's screen time? Your choice entirely. Oh man, this is difficult. 4th favourite, it's either Rogue One or Revenge of the Sith. I'd find it difficult to choose between those two, to be honest. If I was going to pick Rogue One, then I think the figure that I'd want most from Rogue One is Baze Malbus, purely because we've got Chirrut Imwe. There are lots of others from Rogue One that I want as well, including Saw Gerrera and characters like that. So it's very difficult to pick one. If I was going to pick a character from Revenge of the Sith that I'd like them to do, it would probably be an all-new Anakin Skywalker. Although there are lots of characters from Revenge of the Sith that they've never made before that I'd like them to do. I think it's time that we had an all-new, up-to-date, amazing Anakin Skywalker. Cretaceous Galaxy says, hello there BB, another really awesome episode of Ask Boss Bounty. I have a difficult question for you. I noticed that every video of yours features the Bosk figure from the Vintage Saga collection. Imagine that Hasbro releases an all-new Bosk up to modern TV standards. Would you use the new figure in your reviews, Ask Boss Bounty episodes, or will you stick with the older one since it's already in pretty much all of your other videos? Keep up the great work. As much as I've got a huge attachment to this Bosk, and I do love it, it's a great figure, it really is. I would have to say if they did update it and put a brand new one in the vintage collection, then he would have to be like my new mascot of the channel that features in all of my videos. But who knows if they're ever going to do that. But I think I'd always want to keep it up to date with the best Bosk possible on screen. Rampaging Rancor says, hey BB, I have a question. What is your French Bulldog's name? Also, why didn't we see Zeb in Ahsoka? So my French Bulldog is called Maddie. And why didn't we see Zeb in Ahsoka? Yeah, this is a difficult one, isn't it? Maybe they ran out of budget and they couldn't afford the CGI for Zeb. He would have been fully CGI, would he not? I know he had a slight cameo in The Mandalorian. They did reference him in there. They said he was somewhere off doing something, didn't they? So they did reference him, but yeah, I think maybe if they'd put him in there, it would have just been, Rebels Series 5, which everyone sort of thought it was anyway. Maybe they wanted to split the characters up a little bit, but I think it's probably more down to budget, I would say. Aqualish Doug says, great vid as usual. Question for next week. With the amazing Zeb figure, would you be in favour of them expanding the number of deluxe offerings to get more new figures done per year? This could include bigger figures with large accessories like Baze, Saw Gerrera, Wrecker, but also things like a Snowtrooper with the existing E-Web prior to a standard release, and a new Endor Rebel Commando with extra gear prior to a standard release. The additional benefit would be not to have to compromise on tooling inaccuracies, articulation or paint applications. Thoughts? Yeah, I mean, I don't really want to be an advocate for more expensive figures in the line, but it does seem that, figures of a certain size or detail like Saw Gerrera, for example, Wrecker, they were both deluxe figures in the Black Series. I don't really want to be paying more for the figures, but ultimately I think that is in the realm that we're in, that those types of figures are going to cost a little bit more. And if it's a choice of not having them at all or having them, then yeah, I mean, make them deluxe. But with a caveat, they still need to be on a card back. I've said this before, they need to ditch that box and go back to a card back, even if it's got a slightly oversized bubble that just comes out a little bit further, like they did with that Sith Trooper with the armory pack with all those extra weapons. They could do that. They could get away with that. I'd be happy with that. But yeah, if it's a case of not having the figures at all or getting them, then I would be open to them releasing more sort of deluxe figures per year. What I do want them to stop doing is, making out that Jango Fett is a deluxe figure, because I've said this loads of times before, there's no way that Jango Fett should have been a deluxe figure. From the paint apps, which are quite simple, to the tooling, which is reuse, there's nothing deluxe about that figure, and the amount of accessories it had, it could have been put on a card. No problem at all. Channel member TVC Mackin says, question for next week, will we be getting a Rebels Hera outside of the Ghost? Right now we've just got the Ahsoka version on. I don't plan to open the Ghost Hera. If we don't get her, then we'll have a mix of Rebels characters across medias. Yeah, this is the unfortunate thing about that. I think what's more important, if I'm honest, is a Season 1 Ezra. Looking at those Rebels figures yesterday at the MCM Comic Con, the Kanan is an out of this world figure. It looks absolutely fantastic. Of course, it's got the realistic head sculpt. We've got Zeb. We really need Season 1 Ezra, but yeah, of course, the Hera that we have is from the Ahsoka show. It is true live action, if you like, and the version that we're getting in the Ghost is from Season 4 or whatever, and it's on a card back that nobody's going to want to open, essentially. So I feel your pain, my friend. Whether they're going to be doing that in the future, I'm not sure if it'll be something in the near future. However, now they've got the sculpt, it's slight retooling, maybe they can do that. I would hope that they would. Andy McGlink says, Bosk, I'm mainly a collector of the Jurassic Park. They tried the 6-inch line called the Amber Collection, where the large dinosaurs just wouldn't be affordable. Then they went to the Hammond line 3.75, and it looks so much better with large dinos and vehicles. Do you ever see Hasbro mothballing the Black Series line? No, I don't think so. I think that the lines serve their collectors, right? So, or different audiences. So 3.75, we expect vehicles, creatures, things like that. I think if you're a Black Series collector, originally they did try to start to do that with like dewbacks and huge TIE fighters and things like that, snow speeders, but I think they quickly realised that it wasn't working and it wasn't selling. So the Black Series essentially is a figure line. If you want what is perceived to be the ultimate accurate action figure doll, if you like, on your shelf, in a pose, then that's probably the line for you. If you want to set up mini dioramas, or if you're just a carded collector, then the TVC is for you. But yeah, I don't see a future where just because they can't do creatures and vehicles in the Black Series that they mothball the line. I don't think that's going to happen, my friend. Callum Sims says, hi Bosk, do you think there's a chance we may get any legacy vehicles in TVC, like a new mould and painted A-Wing or B-Wing? The quality has improved so much and feel it's time to release some classics. Even a Poe Black X-Wing with the new X-Wing mould. Love your videos as always, mate. Yeah, the Black X-Wing, even though it's from some media that I'm not a huge fan of, the Black X-Wing would be cool with that new X-Wing mould. That is a great vehicle. It seems to me that whenever they like spend like new tooling money on vehicles, it's always like a new vehicle. Very much like that X-Wing that we saw with the Poe Dameron one and the E-Wing coming up. I would like to see them, you know, spend some of that tooling budget on a vehicle that we've had previously that just desperately needs updating. But I think there's going to be a bit of an issue with vehicles in general, in that the retailers don't seem to want them. They seem to be like Pulse exclusives and things like that. So going forward, you know, I don't think we're going to get a slew of vehicles like we used to, but you know, the A-Wing would be a great one in my opinion for them to do. That would be a mid-sized vehicle. The larger vehicles will end up being HasLabs, things like that. But yeah, I don't think it's out of the question. I think I mentioned on last week's episode or a couple of episodes ago that, you know, the Darth Vader's TIE Fighter I feel is way overdue. And we're getting a new Darth Vader in the next wave of figures, a New Hope version. And it would have been great for them to update that vehicle. I would have preferred that over the E-Wing, you know. But I realise there's other people out there that think, well, I've already got a Darth Vader's TIE Fighter from, I don't know, the 30th anniversary or whatever. And I'm quite happy with it. I want all new vehicles I've never had, and that's why they want the E-Wing. And, you know, different strokes for different folks. Frank Maher says, great video as always. My question for next week is, have you ever thought of doing a day in the life of Tim? Kind of behind the scenes, sort of speak on how you make your videos and the preparation it takes to make your amazing videos. If you prefer to keep it private, I understand. Thanks for all your great content and support for the TVC community. So yeah, it's certainly an interesting concept. I have thought about doing vlog style videos in the past, but I just don't think there's really going to be a big enough audience for people that really want to see what's going on in my life, or, you know, maybe what you said there about, you know, how I make a YouTube video, the preparation behind it, that kind of thing. But then I kind of need somebody filming me filming, if you like, and I don't know, I'd find that a bit odd. But yeah, I don't think it's anything that I'm going to do anytime soon. But let me know in the comments if you feel a vlog style video is something you'd like to see. Trooper Wolfie says, hi Tim, question for next week. I was thinking about the Boba Fett figures we've had over the last couple of years. I made a timeline video using my figures, which include a couple of customs, Empire and Tython Boba. But which Boba, apart from ESB, that Hasbro hasn't already made, would you like to see? I would like the Tusken prisoner version in his tattered flight suit with training gaffy stick, rifle and maybe a black melon. Maybe they could pack it in with a newly tooled swoop bike. What do you think of this idea? I would buy two, one to keep the figure carded and one to fully open and display. The spare swoop bike could then be displayed with a Tusken warrior or another of the 4-pack we get. Do you reckon we'll ever see this version, or I'm just dreaming? Keep up the good work. Best wishes, Wolfie. I don't think you're dreaming about that. I think that's a completely legitimate release. They could do an all-new swoop bike with that version of Boba Fett. Do I think it's going to happen anytime soon? Probably not, but I think it's definitely something that has got no reason why it couldn't happen, right? Because they could use the swoop bike for lots of different things, in my opinion. But I think the Boba that I would like, and the one that I'm surprised that they haven't done, is another one that you mentioned, and that's the Tython Boba. So that's the one they did in the Black Series. It's basically this figure, I believe, but with, you know, completely weathered and damaged armour. It's when he first puts that armour on, and it's because we've got lots of other figures from that scene. We've even got the artillery trooper from that scene. We're missing the Boba Fett from that scene. So I think that's one that they should do, and one that I'm surprised that they haven't done already. As I said, the Black Series has already got it. So have they got this one? I'm not too sure. There's one of these that they haven't got, either the deluxe one. So yeah, we've also got the deluxe one as well, haven't we? That came in the deluxe box, which is the Book of Boba Fett version, which is different to this one. It's got completely different legs, for example. But yeah, that's the one that I thought that they would always do, the Tython version, which would have been really cool. But, you know, also the ESB version, I can't leave without saying that I really want a new Empire Strikes Back Boba Fett. He's got to be done. Barada73 says, question for next week. The Sandtroopers in A New Hope were all wearing stunt Stormtrooper helmets, and there were other minor differences in their armour. The VC-231 Stormtrooper seems to be based mostly on the Rogue One Stormtrooper helmet and armour. Do you think a potential TVC Sandtrooper should take these differences into account, and Hasbro should give us an all new helmet sculpt, or are they just too minor to worry about for 3.75 inch action figure? Barada73, you sound exactly like my good friend John the Mustache Lindquist from the SWTVC. This sounds like something exactly he would say, and in fact he dropped a comment in last week's video which was very, very similar to your comment, and I actually didn't know that the helmet was any different, so that's new to me. This is the VC-231 that Daniel Chart made a custom out for me. Now, if Hasbro were to release something like that, in all honesty, I would not be able to tell the difference. I think that is a totally acceptable Sandtrooper. John mentioned that they do have different knee armor, so I pulled out a few of the older Sandtroopers that we've had from Hasbro, like noticeably this one, and I can't see where they've ever done this knee armor any different. So here's, I think this one's the Saga one, or the 30th anniversary, and this one is the Wee Stained VC 112 Vintage Collection one, which was also released in the 3.75 inch Black Series. And I can't really see their leg armor or shin armor or whatever it is, knee armor, being any different to a regular Stormtrooper. So have they ever bothered to do that in the past when they've done a Sandtrooper, or have they just painted a Stormtrooper? Sorry for the focus there, guys. As I said, I would be totally happy if they were to just give us a 4-pack of these guys. 2 black pauldrons, 1 red pauldron, and a white pauldron. Me and Daniel Chart were talking about this exact subject yesterday at MCM Comic Con, and that would be an awesome 4-pack in my opinion. But let me know your thoughts in the comment section below, because this is something that Hasbro need to know. You know, is this helmet not acceptable for a Sandtrooper? Is the leg or knee, whatever it is, not acceptable? How important is it that they get that right? David Gherkin says, thanks for all you do for the community, Bosk. I recently purchased a Star Wars Micro Galaxy U-Wing and wished Hasbro would make a properly scaled version. Do you think HasLab should focus on large ships like the U-Wing, Marauder and Gauntlet instead of playsets like the leaked Cantina or Jabba's Throne Room, which became a Pulse exclusive? Seems to me that playsets should not be a HasLab. So I don't really think that HasLab should exclusively be large vehicles. I don't subscribe to that at all. When the HasLab concept was announced, it was about like dream items like the barge, things like that. As we know, in these modern days of collecting, even like a large vehicle is not going to go to retail anymore, like the Razor Crest, for example. It has to be a HasLab project, even though, you know, maybe 15 years ago that would have just come out as a regular release. Not as detailed though. No way would it have been as detailed as the one that we have. So I don't subscribe to the fact that they have to be a large vehicle. No, they need to be a dream item for me. So when you think about the Cantina, if it is going to be the Cantina, we've had pieces of the Cantina before in various packs with figures, or, you know, Power of the Force 3 packs or whatever, bigger pieces of the barb. We've never had a full-on Cantina, and for many people that is a dream item, and it's certainly an item that would not be released at retail. So in this day and age of collecting, you know, you always have to put that caveat in there because things have changed. So yeah, I don't think it has to be a large vehicle. Having said that, I would like to see them mix it up a little bit. So sometimes it's a large vehicle, sometimes it's a big playset. You know, keep it interesting. Andrew Clark says, hey BB, what creatures do you think will be released or re-released? There are so many. Banthas, Rancors, Massifs and others have reappeared, and we're still waiting on Blurgs. Dewbacks have surprisingly not reappeared. There have been Rontos, Goobers, Fishes, Reeks, but no decent Dianogas. There are a ton of pet lunch-sized creatures which would make great sets or blind bags. What do you like, and what would you anticipate? Yeah, so there's loads of like smaller creatures, isn't there? Like, I don't know, like Womp Rats and Minox and things like that, which would be cool pack-ins for various sets that they could bring out. Me personally, you know, I always want creatures that are maybe from the original trilogy that have then reappeared in newer media, like your Banthas and your Rancors and your Dewbacks. Those three in particular, I would love for them to do a new updated version in a TVC box, fully articulated. I've never really liked either of the Banthas that are out. The 30th anniversary one, you know, the hair's all knotted and everything. It doesn't look great. And the Power of the Force one just looks like a fluff ball to me. So I think they could do a much better Bantha. And the same goes for the Dewback as well. You know, the best version that I think the most accurate is the one from the Power of the Force. All the other ones that we've got since then I don't think are too accurate. So, you know, that's one that I would like them to do. And I was actually very surprised that they didn't re-release the Rancor when it appeared in the Book of Boba Fett. That would have been a no-brainer for me. Alright then guys, that's it for this week's episode. Thank you so much for watching, and once again, as mentioned at the start of the video, it's the channel's birthday today, 7 years, can't quite believe it, but I just want to say a huge heartfelt thank you to everybody that has supported me along the journey, however long you've been a subscriber for. Be sure to support my other social channels like Instagram and Facebook if you don't follow me there. I'm on there, Twitter. But yeah, the YouTube channel, thank you so much. I just, yeah, hugely appreciate it. It's been quite the ride, and it's not going to stop there. I'm not going to change anything. We're going to be carrying on, and just this week we are going to be doing two awesome reviews. We've got the Princess Leia to review and the Jedi Master Soul from the Acolyte, so be sure to check those out when they drop. Thanks so much for watching, everybody, and thanks to my Patreon supporters and channel members. As I mentioned at the beginning of the video, you guys are awesome. Thanks for watching, everybody, and we shall see you on the next one.